Welcome back to the PSN Commanders Network. It's your boy Tonka A Tech. We're back with another video. If I get to a greater God, for God's right now, God's open doors and pay for all those people and losing. Pretty much today's video. We're here right with the Washington Commanders, and today I got two live streams for you guys now. I got one right now. I got one at 7 o'clock with Josh Taylor FB. Just explain. I know I have Rio on the thumbnail. Rio's probably not gonna make it. I've been able to get in contact with him. It's just nothing bad. He just can't get into contact with him. So I do apologize about that. But we'll be me and Josh Taylor tonight at 7 o'clock talking about mock drafts and things of that nature. So you want to come pull up to that after this? That'd be great. But today we want to talk about one Joe Whitt Jr. and also Kliff Kingsbury. I haven't talked about this yet, so I do apologize about that. But I think it's just time to talk about it. So I'm here about the introductory press conference for both of these guys, and I'll react to them live. I saw little snippets, but I haven't really got to watch them for real. So that's kind of that. I haven't got to watch them for real like I want to. So we're gonna watch them together in full entirety, and might not watch the entire presser, but watch just enough of it to get a gist of what are these guys like and how will they contribute to the Commanders' success in 2024. So I'm gonna start with the offensive coordinator, which is Kliff Kingsbury. I heard his press conference is kind of like to the point and not really a bunch of rapping, so that'll be kind of cool. I kind of appreciate that. Makes things a lot easier that way. So yeah. So we're gonna talk about that one first. I'll go ahead and share my screen with you guys, and we'll react to it as a group. You can give your thoughts afterwards. I'll give like a couple of minutes for you guys to give your thoughts afterwards, and then we'll go ahead and move on to the other presser, which I think is a little bit more enticing to me, which is the Joe Whitt Jr. one. It's longer, so I think he had a lot more to say than one Kliff Kingsbury. So we're gonna go ahead and watch those. We're gonna go ahead and watch that, and then go from there. So let's start with the Kliff Kingsbury one. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen with you guys, and we're gonna go ahead and talk about this one. Let's do it.
A good fit for you, and can you kind of just walk us through the process of how you got here?
Yeah, I don't want to get into the specifics of the process as much, but obviously historic franchise, incredible fan base, the opportunity to work with Adam Peters, Dan Quinn, who I've always had a ton of respect with, and then the ownership group, what they're trying to do, their vision. It's exciting times. I've heard great things about the DMV, so just honored to be here.
Are you able to provide any sort of clarity on sort of what happened with the Raiders and, how it led to here?
Yeah, I don't want to get into the specifics, but have a tremendous amount of respect for that organization and Mark Davis and AP. Huge fan of his.
How was Magic Johnson involved?
Once again, don't want to get into any of those specifics.
You were a head coach for a decade until last year. What did last year allow you to do? And does that set you up to be a better OC here?
Yeah, I hope so. Coach Riley is a phenomenal coach. To be able to be around him, watch him from that view, his processes, how he works with the team was awesome. A great learning experience. And then just to be around the younger players again really re-energized me, re-motivated me. I kind of got to be the good cop the entire year in that space, and felt like it gave me a chance to kind of reevaluate some of my processes and how I operate, and felt like it made me a better coach.
Kliff, back in the NFL, JP Finley, NBC4 1067. Back in the NFL now, but going to be a coordinator instead of a head coach. What are some of the differences that will be in those two different roles, and are you looking forward to some of those differences?
Being able to just focus on the offense will be great. Dan has a bunch on his plate. I've sat in that seat, and so you're dealing with the entire picture. With me now, it's focusing on that group and trying to maximize who we are personnel-wise, coaching staff-wise, and being the best we can just in that area. So to be able to back up and do that again is exciting, to put all that focus just into that and ready to get to work.
And so much of your life has been playing and then coaching the quarterback position. What is, if there's a roadmap for developing a young quarterback, what does that look like?
First off, you got to have talented players to work with. There's no doubt. I've been very fortunate to be around some really good players, good people, but I just try to figure out what makes them tick. Everybody's different. Everybody learns differently. Everybody processes differently, likes different plays, sees the game differently. So I really try to get to the bottom of who they are as a person, who they are as a player, and build it around them.
Kliff, John Keim, ESPN. Everybody talks about the air raid offense. How has that evolved for you from the time you're in college to Arizona to now?
Yeah, at Texas Tech, University of Houston, we had Case Keenum and Patrick Mahomes, so we were throwing it a ton, and it was spread offense, just like a lot of those are. You get to the NFL, you learn the nature of that game and the different personnel groups and the matchups and things like that. And I'm not sure where we were on pass percentage my last 3 years there, but I know it wasn't at the top. So we want to be balanced. We want to be able to run the football and play action pass and really do whatever it takes to win. But the air raid deal is I'm honored to be a part of that because it was Mike Leach, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. But I wouldn't categorize anything we do under that name.
And what did you learn from maybe the head coach time, even in calling plays, whatever, that you can apply to now?
Every year you learn something different. Just consistency and approach. I think that's the main thing in this league. You're going to have your ups and downs. It's a lot of parity. It's tough games week in, week out, and you got to be consistent in your standards and your approach.
Hey, Kliff, Ben Standig with The Athletic. Welcome to town. How much say did you have in the other hires on offense, and what's the challenge of putting together all these people coming together mostly for the first time?
Yeah, it's always a challenge, but it's exciting. It was a collaborative effort with Dan, obviously, and Adam. We wanted to bring a bunch of high character people and good football coaches, and we have some former head coaches and former offensive coordinators, and so I'm excited to put the offense together. I think anytime you get a chance to reinstall your offense, you can be more efficient with your processes and your verbiage and your play calls and your scheme. And so we're going to all dive into it and figure out kind of what we do best personnel wise and grow it from there.
And last year, obviously, you were at USC. What did you kind of get out of that experience being at the college level? And then obviously you're working with Caleb Williams while there. How did working with him kind of help you, or what did that do for you as you're getting ready to do this job?
Yeah, he's a great kid. There's no doubt. And like I mentioned earlier, just getting to watch Lincoln from afar and observe him and how he coaches and how he schemes things up and his processes was huge. And then just being around the younger players and really diving back into the everyday teaching. Sometimes when you're a head coach, you step back from the one-on-ones a little bit, and this allowed me to get back into that vein.
Scott Abraham, ABC 7. Kliff, welcome to Washington. I guess when you look at today's NFL, what type of quarterback, like the ideal fit, the characteristics, the traits that you want to work with here in Washington?
The Chiefs quarterback.
That helped.
No,
I ain't mad at him.
I do think the game, as you can see,
I ain't mad at him. I ain't mad at him. He's like, yo, Chiefs quarterback. Kliff is hilarious, man. You're a funny dude.
you watch those guys, Brock and him, at the end, like when money's on the table, you got to be able to make some plays with your feet, move around enough to escape a bad play. And that doesn't mean you got to run like Lamar or Kyler Murray, but you better be able to move a little bit and buy yourself some time, because the D-line, the rushes, the defense these days are so good. And then the intangibles, you want that player to be the hardest worker on your team. You want him to lead those guys each and every day. When he shows up in the building, you want him to lift the building up. And that's why those guys make the type of money they do.
With how things ended for you in Arizona, now coming here to Washington, do you feel like you have something to prove to yourself and maybe the rest of the NFL?
I don't. That's not how I approach it. I do this because I enjoy the game. I enjoy the players and the mentorship, and the Sunday is that type of competitive situation. So I've never got into to prove anybody wrong or right or anything like that.
Chadwick Cotto with Fox 5. Coach, we heard from Dan Quinn when he first came in. He wanted to talk about all of the things that he learned from his job in Atlanta. I wonder what it is that you've learned that you're bringing here from your previous head coaching experience and what you've taken away from USC.
Yeah, I think, like I mentioned earlier, first and foremost, consistency and approach, and then the standard's got to be the standard no matter what, no matter who you bring in.
You peep how I'm gonna switch the angle, actually. My fault, y'all. Put the angle just a little bit on y'all. Give me 1 second, Mo. I'm gonna switch up the angle. Just 1 second. Switch up a little bit. So y'all peep how Kliff said the standard is the standard. Remember what Adam Peters said in his presser? The standard is the standard. What did Dan Quinn say in his presser? The standard is the standard. These guys are aligned with each other. That is huge. Huge. That's huge because that means these guys are in lockstep with each other. These guys get it. These guys are on the same accord. That is super important. I love to hear that from Kliff.
What it looks like, how the season's going. You can't let that dictate, how you approach the team and how you coach. And then the USC deal, more than anything, just re-energizing being around those young players and those kids that were excited to play the game, even though they're getting paid now, which is a little bit different. They just have a real thirst for knowledge and want to learn.
Having spent time around Caleb Williams as you did this previous year, what in his game do you feel as though can translate to the NFL at a high level?
Yeah, I don't want to break him down right now. I'm still trying to, evaluate our own roster and go through that. But like I mentioned, love being around him, tremendous person. And I had fun at USC.
Hey, Kliff, welcome to town, Alex.
I like how he keeps it brief and to the point. He said, I'm not going to break him down right here. I'm going to just tell you I like the kid. He's going to evaluate Sam Howell. We'll see how he feels about Sam. I'm very intrigued of how Kliff feels about Sam Howell.
Alex Sloan with DC News Now. Obviously, when you choose to come in as a coordinator, it's important who the head coach is. With it being Dan Quinn here, what was it about Dan that made you really want to come here and be a part of the staff?
Tremendous person, first and foremost. The football speaks for itself. I first met him in 2012. Kind of brief interaction. We were at Texas A&M. We played Florida, and they beat us. And I was really impressed by his scheme and how those guys played, and they flew around. And then watching him go to Seattle and the success he had in Atlanta, just the way he does things and treats people and helps mentor coaches and players. He's a guy I always looked at and said, if there's an opportunity, I'd love to work with him in some capacity. So for this to work out has really been big for me.
And then just kind of expanding on that, the vision that this Harris ownership group has, obviously they want to turn this place into a good culture, a winner. How much did that play in the role, and how maybe excited are you for what could happen here in your time here?
That's huge. That's you want to be a place that's passionate about winning and doing all the things necessary to do that. And you can tell this is the time to get it done here, and we're going to do everything we can to try and make that happen. And there's no better leader than Dan Quinn and Adam Peters to get this thing started.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Liam Griffin with the Washington Times. You said you're starting to break down this roster and going through film. What players or position groups have kind of stood out to you as you started to get familiar with the roster?
Yeah, I haven't got, I would say, far enough into it, but obviously there's some explosive pieces on offense that you notice. But I'm about 3 games in, so we have a ways to go. But I'm excited. I think there's some pieces there.
Coach Tandy.
I'm surprised he didn't say. I'm surprised he didn't say Terry McLaurin. Why didn't you say Terry? You want to name drop? Just name drop Terry. Maybe he just don't want to say too much.
Waller, Bowie Television. What do you think what are some of the key attributes an offense needs to have in order to be successful in this league?
Yeah, first and foremost, being able to adapt to your personnel, do what you do best, and don't ask them to do things they can't do. And we have a staff that is all in agreement on that and takes pride in that. So we're going to build this thing together and be collaborative as we put it together, and just make sure we're putting our guys in the best situation possible. You got to be able to, run the football in 4 minutes, and you got to be able to throw it in 2 minutes. And you saw that game come down to it a couple of times the other night. That's how these games come down to. And so more than anything, just making sure we're putting those players in a position to be successful.
Hey, Coach, Donna Hopkins, Pro Football Plus. This league waits for nobody. When you look at your qualities and your strengths and everything, and to jumpstart this offense right quick, what do you think those things are?
Probably number one, I don't know what I don't know. I'm not afraid to ask questions and learn from these other guys. And if there's a better way to do it, we're going to do it that way. I'm big on evolving each and every year, doing breakdowns of the top college offenses, pro offense. What are they doing? How can we make that fit? And I think that's what it's about. The defense is always trying to catch up, and it's a cyclical game. And if you kind of are staying stagnant and not progressing and not evolving, and you're drill work and your scheme and your coaching practice, then they're going to catch up to you.
Welcome to town, Coach Desmond Purnell, WUSA 9. Heading into the Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes, best quarterback in the league right now. He complimented you, said he would not be where he is today if it were not for you. Hearing that, how does that make you feel? And what did you see in Patrick Mahomes coming out of high school that a lot of other coaches did not?
Yeah, every time I would watch him, he was the best player on the field by far. And he put the team on his back and he did whatever it took to win. You see the competitive nature. Just like the other night, I don't think anybody here thought he was going to lose when he got that ball back. And it was the same deal in high school. It's like he knew he was going to find a way to win. And it didn't look traditional, and he'd shuffle back and kind of just move around and make plays. But he was the best player. And, I kind of stayed out of his way a little bit in college. I didn't want to take that away from him ever, because that's what he did great. We tried to polish some things, but to watch what he's become and just the person he is, I tell everybody that's his greatest superpower, is the person, even with all the freaky talent. He's such a great person. The way he treats people, the way he handles his teammates, it's just phenomenal.
And secondly, Coach, as far as the players who are still on this roster, what's your message to them? What message do you want them to get across offensively to the players who are still on the roster?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like I said, I'm still evaluating everything, but just that we have a staff that's going to do everything we can to make sure we maximize them as a player and put them in a position to be successful.
Hey, Coach David Harrison, Sports Illustrated. Welcome to DC. Run game coordinator can mean a little bit of a different thing to a lot of different people. Can you share anything about Anthony Lynn's role within the staff?
Excited about Anthony. He's been a head coach, another Texas Tech Red Raider, which you can't have enough of those rocket scientists on the staff.
Rocket scientists. I like that line.
So we're going to see where it fits in. He's had a tremendous track record with running backs and run schemes and things like that. And so that'll be a big part of his role. But once again, it's be collaborative. We're still figuring out how it all fits in that way. But to have a guy like that, a football mind like that, a leader like that is huge for us.
And then Wisconsin offense coordinator Phil Longo called you one of those profound offensive minds in the game, and you had a big impact on his own mindset. Who's someone like that in your career that you look at it in that way?
Yeah, Kevin Sumlin is a guy who gave me an opportunity to coach and kind of do it my way and just let me have the reins from an early age. So he's a guy that I have a tremendous amount of respect for, and taught me a lot about leadership and scheme and how to be a coach.
Hey, Kliff, Chris Bumbaka with USA Today. What qualities does David Blau have that will make him a good coach from the beginning?
Yeah, very, very smart. Like I remember we got him in Arizona for a couple of weeks, and he probably knew the offense better than I did after 2 weeks. And he's one of the brightest quarterbacks I've ever been around. Great rapport with the players, and I love his temperament. I think whoever the quarterback is, he'll be great to be around him, and just how he sees the game, how he talks protections, how he talks progressions, because he never gets too high or too low. And I think he's got a chance to move up really quickly in this profession.
Hey, Kliff, Mitch Tischler, Monday Mile Sports. A lot of talk about collaboration between yourself and Dan. How do you kind of foresee that communication going, and how involved you expect Dan Quinn to be in how the offense is run?
Yeah, as much as he wants to be. He's the head coach, and so however he wants to do it, we're going to do it that way. I understand that, he understands that, and so as much input as we can get for him, the better. I mean, he's a guy who can tell us, hey, this is what the defense is trying to do, see it from a different point of view than us, and so I'm excited to work with him from that angle, and see where we're going to take this.
Okay.
And then one more with Bobby Johnson as the offensive line coach. Kind of what do you?
I don't like that hire. I don't like that hire.
What do you know about him, and kind of what intrigued you about him and made you want to bring him in?
Yeah, he's been at a lot, great places. Worked with some great offenses. Worked with some.
Are you screaming no in the background? What is that?
Okay. Worked with some great offenses there in Buffalo with Josh Allen, and some of the creativity and the run game stuff they were doing, and tempo and some different things that I really liked. And then go to the Giants' very first year, they made the playoffs with Daniel Jones, and so I from afar I liked how he handled himself, some of the stuff he did in the run game, and then had got rave reviews from people I really trust in the profession, and so did Dan. So it worked out. Thank y'all.
Okay. So yeah, my quick thoughts. So I'm gonna turn the share screen off real quick. Yeah, my quick thoughts. So, Kliff is interesting. He's a very, very, he's like an introvert a little bit. He wasn't trying to talk too much, wasn't trying to say too much, just want to get the hell out of there. Which I'm not mad at. I'm not mad at it. I ain't glad at it, but I ain't mad at it. Not mad at it at all. I understand. He wasn't trying to say too much. He's trying to really just kind of stay out the way. So Kliff is a really good offensive mind, though. I'm really glad he's here. And he's someone I'm definitely excited to see how his offense does look next season. So let's look at Joe Whitt Jr.'s real quick. His is about 24 minutes long. I do have another stream with Josh in a few minutes. So out of respect of Josh's time, I'm not going to watch the entire presser, but I will kind of, point out some things during the presser, though, and I'll go ahead and give my thoughts, and we'll go ahead and wrap it up. I just want to talk to you guys about both of these hires and also how do I feel about both of these things and what's next. So I'm definitely excited to see these things, man. Take command. Shout out to the Commanders, man. They're doing some good things, and I'm excited to see what Joe Whitt Jr. has to say.
John Keim, ESPN. I'm just curious for you, your first shot at this. How excited are you to have this shot as a defensive coordinator?
Man, first off, I'm excited to be here. All right, this is one of the teams that you think about as you're growing up. They won all the Super Bowls as I was growing up, and have the opportunity to be here at Washington is exciting. To be here with Coach Quinn is exciting. You're going to see a man that's going to energize the whole city, not just this football team, the whole fan base. And so my opportunity to be a DC, I've been waiting for this for a long time. All right. The staff that we put together is an outstanding staff. We have a lot of coaches that come from different trees. All right, and we did that by design because we want to have ideas outside of what necessarily I've done in my past. So we're ready for it. Like I said, it's just going to be exciting times.
Obviously, you have ties to Dan, but why do you feel maybe you're ready for this now?
That's a funny question to be. I've been coaching in the league for 18 years. Okay. I see a lot of these young guys get opportunities years prior, and nobody really questioned them. You know what I'm saying? I've been ready, and just the opportunity now has come with Coach Quinn. But a question of my ability to call defense, to structure a defense, to do that, I have full confidence in that.
Hi, Ben Standig with The Athletic. Welcome to town. We obviously got to watch the defense that you and Dan works on in Dallas. People want to kind of know what does that mean now? What are you bringing here? Does that
super quick pause? Pause. Shout out to Jalen Morgan. It was a very, 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 very spicy X feed on X. You guys, if you guys follow Blee and B&G on X, Blee and Burgundy and Gold, you saw the thread. He basically asked, Hey, Keim, this was a little disrespectful, bro. Like, why you asking about his readiness for the job? And, John Keim wasn't questioning his qualifications per se, but he was just, hey, man, what makes you feel like you're ready for this position? And he wasn't question his credentials or qualifications, anything like that. But at first look, when I first heard it, it does sound slightly disrespectful, but it wasn't intentional. So I'm not mad at John Keim for it at all.
You already have a thought in mind of what exactly it'll be, or do you need to see more of, hey, who's on this team, and then adjust to that?
One thing I could tell you, like Dan said, is more about the play style than anything else. Okay. We're going to get that right first. And one thing that we're going to do, we're going to be a run and hit defense. All right.
Okay.
We're going to run. And I just told this to our staff, the defensive staff. We had our first staff meeting. The way that we live is not for everybody. Okay.
Woo!
It's not.
Like that.
All right. Because we're going to run and put our bodies on people in a violent manner. All right.
Woo!
And so
like
we're going to get that play style right first. All right. And then the structure of what we do, doesn't really matter. 3-4-4-3. Everybody really plays the same coverages to some point. All right. The structure doesn't matter to me. The main thing that matters to me is, are we going to be arriving violently? All right. And we're going to turn the ball over. All right. We're going to make sure we disrupt these quarterbacks.
And as a starting
I
point
like
to have
that.
John Allen and
Oh,
Deron
yeah,
Payne,
I like that. I like that.
what does that do for your designs? How excited are you to start working with them?
Man, everything starts up front. Okay. And I'm a back end guy. But when you see me at practice, I'm going to be, and even when I was the cornerback coach in Green Bay or at Louisville, it doesn't matter. I'm always going to the big guys. Hey, it starts up front. All right. And so I'm a believer of that. And that's where we're good. And I'm glad we have those guys because, that's where it all starts.
Scott Abraham, ABC7, welcome to town. You said a violent defense. How do you instill that into your guys?
Well, every day, when we go out there on the field, the standard is the standard. Okay, now, I know that's thrown.
What did Kliff Kingsbury say? What did Adam Peters say? What did Dan Quinn say? The standard is the mother freaking standard. These guys are in lockstep with each other. These guys are on the same darn page. That's what I like to hear. That sounds beautiful. Music to my ears.
Around a lot, but part of our coaches and the reason that we got the coaches that we got was because they hold people accountable. All right, they're great teachers first. All right, but if you don't do it the right way, you're going to get called out on it. Okay, there's only one way to do it, and that's the way that we want it done. And if that's not the way that you want to live, that's fine. Okay, all right, you'll probably be somewhere else, but we're going to do it that
He said, that's fine. You'll be somewhere else.
way. And
oh, shoot,
you just have to
no,
go do
boy.
it. I don't have a.
This man is
it's easy to
hilarious.
say you can do this and that. You just have to go do it. You have to just go work. I grew up on a farm. My dad, he had a farm, and all we know is just to work hard, and so that's what we do.
I hear kind of the energy and the passion in your voice, and everybody has different leadership qualities and leadership styles. How do you lead men? What are some things you try to do?
First, I want to make sure I'm a great communicator. I want them to understand that I'm here for them. Okay. If we as coaches take the gray area out of it, I believe our players play fast. So I'm going to communicate with them. I want them to know I'm a great listener as well. Okay. So if they have good ideas, we'll listen. All right. This is a collaborative deal. This is not about me. This is not about the staff. This is about us as a unit playing high level ball. All right. Make sure that the Commanders are playing winning football every time we step on the field. And so I'm not really a rah-rah guy, okay, especially on game day. I believe if you're doing a lot of yelling on game day, you haven't done your job during the week. All right, a game day is for helping the players, teaching the players, putting them in a great position. Now, at practice, all right, we're going to make sure we get them going the right way. So you'll see a big difference between me on the practice field and on game day. On game day, it's all about helping those guys, getting them in the right position because they're trying their butts off. All right. They're not trying to mess up, trust and believe. All right. So I want to make sure that we put them in a great position that they can go out there and play fast.
As you step into a new team, what's
your name, ma'am?
I'm Nikki Javala with the Washington
Nikki?
Post. Sorry
Okay,
about that. As you step into a new team, what is your general process for how you go about evaluating the roster?
All right. So that's where we're starting at right now. We have what we.
I like how you said that if I'm doing a bunch of freaking yelling on game day, I did not do my job during the week. That's huge, bro. Because EB did all that yelling, all that screaming, all that bull. What the we y'all doing during the motherfucking week, bro? Y'all weren't doing, obviously, bro. And get that on my face, man. Also, I like what Kliff said. He gonna put his best player position to succeed, and he's going to adjust to his personnel. Airbnb, listen, bro. I want you to listen to these press conferences, Airbnb, because you need to learn, bro. You need to learn, bro. Nah, for real, bro. Dead serious, bro. Phone up.
We call a profile of each position of what we are looking for in our defense. And so we match what we have against the profile of what we're looking for. And you'll hear us talk a lot about we won't talk about what guys can't do. We want to know what they can do and how far along the journey can we bring them within our system. And so that's what we're doing right now. And we're in the process of evaluating the roster. We did that as a coaching staff today. And I wanted to hear one-liners and what each position coach thought about the position of the men there. And then we'll start to see what we feel like we must have, what we need, and some wants that we want from a talent acquisition standpoint.
And just being in the division the last few years, does that give you any sort of leg up in the process, or do you just start completely anew as if they're?
It might give you a little bit because we played these
What up,
teams
Austin?
twice, but it's really I'm looking at the other side of the ball, so I really haven't watched Washington's defense prior to coming here, so it wasn't that much of an advantage.
What's a profile
Excuse
of?
me. Well,
Sorry, Sam Fortier with the Washington Post.
Sam, okay, thank you.
Can you tell us about a profile of one position?
No, I cannot. I don't want people to know what we're looking at and what we're looking for, because I think that's the secret of Dan and the things that we actually look for. That's not for everybody to know.
What's your timeline, I guess, from now until maybe the draft of how you're going to go through the process of evaluating what you have, what you need, who you bring in? Like, can you kind of walk us through how you're planning on doing that?
To be honest with you, we're going to follow the calendar that Dan gives us. Okay. So right now we're in the process of evaluating who we have. All right. And we did that pretty much today. And then once we get the free agent list, which we haven't gotten yet, we'll look at those guys that we could possibly add from there. Same thing when we get the draft list. It's the same process on all 32 teams. You follow, you look at your staff. Even if, let's say I was back in Dallas right now, we'll be reevaluating our current players. All right. Who's there, who can we take further on their journey? And so same thing here, nothing different.
Hey, Joe, welcome to DC. I'm
Yes, sir.
JP Finley with NBC4 and 1067.
Mhm.
You guys have had a ton of success defending the pass in Dallas over the past couple of years. That's been a weakness here in Washington. What are the steps you take to flip that over with the new secondary you're in charge of?
One thing I would say is everything that we're going to try to do starts with the quarterback. All right. We want to make that quarterback play post snap as much as possible. These quarterbacks are too good. So if you allow them to see the structure that you're lined up in and tell them the truth with it, and so they know the coverage or they know where the pressure is coming from, it's going to be a difficult day for you. So as much as possible, what we've done in Dallas from a disguise standpoint and a pressure standpoint is trying to make that quarterback play post snap. And now the rushing coverage, which is always a good marriage, they can come to life together. And so that's what we're going to try to do. That's why we've had success in not only my time in Dallas, but in Green Bay, that stretch. We're known for turning the ball over, and that's what we're going to do here.
And being known for turning the ball over, is that something you can teach, or is some of that just the way balls bounce on game day? How can you get this group? Because they kind of tried to do that in the past, and it hasn't really come to fruition.
Well, I mean, you can coach it some. The first thing is you have to have players that can catch the ball. Okay, that's the number one thing, and that might sound simplistic, but that's the truth. Once you get quarterbacks playing post snap, all right, they're making errant throws. Most interceptions aren't on good thrown balls. They're on tips and overthrows. They're on inside hip throws, on outside breakers. Now, when you have those opportunities on those plays, you got to make them. All right, you got to bring the ball to life, and you'll hear me talk about this all the time. The ball is life. All right, and so it's like air, and we got to have it. We got to get it. Most drills that you see us on the field will end with some kind of guy catching the ball, picking the ball off a fumble. Just understanding that how to get the ball out from a punch, a rake, or what have you. We're going to attack the ball every kind of way we can in practice, so it translates into the game.
Mitch Tischler with
I like that. The ball is life. I like that, Slim. I like that.
ML Sports.
Yo, we're talking
last year with the Cowboys, obviously, Michael Parsons is a special player, but you moved him around the defense a lot and kind of got creative a little bit with him. How much of that is a staple of kind of the type of defense you want to bring to Washington and kind of creating matchups for players like that?
Well, Micah is a unicorn, so he's a little bit different, but it doesn't take a unicorn to be creative. All right. I like to think of our defense, and even going back to Green Bay, as sort of a positionalist defense, and just follow me with this here. You can take a Micah Parsons and put him at linebacker in the 4-down spacing, or you can put him at a in and 5-down spacing. Okay. Or you could take a Jaron Kearse, who we've had as a safety, a Buffalo nickel, and then you can put him in a linebacker type spacing. It changes the ID for the centers when you do that. It changes that point, and depending on is Micah out there with 4 bigs, or how they're going to consider him. Are they going to put the back on him? Good luck if you want to. All right, are you going to slide to him? So we have some guys here that we feel that can create some real matchup problems with people. And you're gonna hear me talk about feed the studs. You got to earn your right to be a stud, so we can design things particularly for you. And we will get creative with, especially our pressure package of how we get to the quarterback and who we send to the quarterback, depending on how they prove it on the practice field.
And then quickly, you guys are in an evaluation mode right now.
Yes.
Will you slide some notes to Kliff about what you found about the Washington offense when you were in Dallas?
One thing we will do is we talk about being across the hall and being collaborative. So I'm always going to the offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, and saying, hey, I see this concept. This is difficult for us. All right, you might, and they'll do the same thing. So we'll always talk across the hall and make sure that we're giving each other the best advantage in every manner we can.
Hey Joe, Chris Boombaka with USA Today.
Yes, sir.
What did you learn from your dad about coaching?
Oh, from my dad, man, everything. Like just the first thing that I learned about from my dad was this is a people's business and to treat people fairly. That's the connections. My dad was a hard coach, man. Like he's a hard man to play for, but his players played a certain style. They ran and hit. They were fundamentally sound. And that's what I got from him. I know I'm a back end guy, not a linebacker coach like he was, but he's what I'm trying to be. All right. I know he never reached to become a head coach and all that, but the respect that he has whenever he walks into a building, everybody respects him. If he walked in here right now, you would know he was in here because he has that type of command of a room. And he's just the man that I'm always trying to aim to be.
Okay. Coach David Harrison, Sports Illustrated. Welcome to DC. Want to ask you about just you mentioned you're ready for this position.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to your career, is there like an assignment or a year that you can look back and say like this is when I knew I was ready to be at DC, just waiting on that opportunity?
Oh, that's a very good question. I probably felt that I was ready in 2015. That year, I from a package standpoint, I had a great idea of what I wanted to do and how to once again get at the quarterback and understand how to manipulate the fronts and the pressure. So it was probably 2015 when I felt that I was ready, and just haven't had the opportunity since then.
And it's very obvious, like your brain works very quickly when you're thinking about NFL defenses. When you have a player that kind of struggles with maybe adapting to a check or a call or something you're trying to teach them, what's something that you kind of do to try to bring that gap together?
Well, if they're struggling, that's our fault. Okay. So as coaches, we take the brunt of the learning to make sure that once they go out there, they're playing fast. So I'm dyslexic. Okay. So I always talk about coaching the creative learner. And if a guy struggles to learn at times, that is our job to make sure that we teach them in many different facets and many different ways so that guy can get it. All right. That's our job. That's what they pay us, what they pay us. They don't pay us all this money just to go in there and put it up on the board. And if certain guys can't get it, no, it's your job to make sure they can get it. And if a coach sits there and says he can't learn, he probably can't coach. Okay. So we'll get these guys to understand what we want them to do and do it in a very good manner.
Hey, Coach, Donna Hopkins, Pro Football Plus. As you embark upon this new opportunity and as people get to know a little bit about you, what is it that you want people to know about you right off the bat about who you are as a person and also as a coach?
As a person, as a coach, that first, my family's everything to me. I have 3 kids, Joseph, Ava, and Zoe. My wife, Erica, she runs the household. I really don't have any hobbies. My kids are my hobbies. You talked about my dad being a football coach, and he was away, and so I wanted to make sure that my kids were my hobby. So it's my family, it's my football, and it's really just my faith in God. And other than that, I'm a simple guy. I'm a country boy from Alabama. That's all I am.
And in coming here with Coach.
Wow. I like that. Hard-nosed, old school guy from Alabama. Country boy from Alabama. I ain't mad at you, Joe Whitt. I ain't mad at you, bro. So I got no hobbies. Got my faith in the Lord. Stay out the way, homie. I ain't mad at you, big dog. I ain't mad at you,
Does that help you all jumpstart this defense, hit the road running a little quicker?
It does. It does. So we have a base structure of what we want to do, but very similar to what we did when we went to Dallas. Okay. Everybody just knew when we went to Dallas that we were going to run ATL 3s or the Seattle 3 package. And it was probably fourth or fifth game when they realized, oh, they're not doing that. Okay. And so what we're going to do, and that's another reason why we brought coaches from different schemes, and we were very strategic from where we brought these coaches from, because we're going to build the commander defense. It's not going to be exactly what we did in Dallas. Okay. And if you think it is,
the Washington Commanders defense. I like this, bro. This man is intelligent as hell. I swear to gosh, bro. This man is intellect. I know people clown because it's cross-eyed and all that, bro, but this man's intelligent, bro. He knows his ball, bro. He is no fool. He knows his ball, bro. And unlike Eric Bieniemy, he ain't getting us a bunch of bullcrap cliches. He's actually explaining what he's trying to do, but keeping it vague enough so people understand what's going on. I like this.
And you go watch all the Dallas film, all right, good for you. You're going to be mistaken. All right. We're going to build this thing. We have the structure that we want, but we're going to take the ideas from all the coaches that we have on the defensive staff. We're going to do it just like we did in Dallas. We listened to every coach on the staff in Dallas, and we built it together. And that's what we're about to do. We're about to build this thing from the ground up with the understanding that we do have a base structure of what we want to do.
Welcome to town, Coach. Desmond Purnell,
Yes,
WUSA 9. You and Coach Quinn, you were together in Atlanta, together in Dallas. Now you're here in Washington. What's allowed the relationship to be successful between you and Coach Quinn?
First thing, it's going to sound sort of corny, but he's just the best human being that I've probably been around in football. Okay. Take the football coach out of it. He's a really good person. When I get to Atlanta, and I have to move my family down, he writes handwritten notes to my kids. I've never had a head coach do that. All right. My son was struggling in football with a certain block blitzing scheme, and he takes time out of his day to put a video of Michael Parsons rushing on a tackle from practice to help my son rush on the tackle in his practice. That's what type of dude this is. All right. So I'm all in with him 100%. And then as a coach, he allows you to be creative. He wants you to think outside of the box. He wants you to going into last year. I mean, this offseason, last 2 years in a row prior to that, 21 and 22, we were the #1 team in the league for 2 years in a row in turnovers. You know, the first thing he told me to do, Joe, how can we get more turnovers? I want you to research, how do you get more turnovers? Because the ball is life. All right. So he's always trying to make you level up and give you the ability to think outside of the box and do it. He doesn't want to just say, hey, that's the way we've already done it. And I'm a believer too. If I ask you a question and you say, hey, that's the way I've always done it, it can be changed. All right. Because that's not a very good answer. All right. So we're going to always try to find a way to get better and level up and think outside of the box, because that's what these offenses are doing. All right, these motions and these shifts and these formations that these guys are doing, that's coming from the college game. If you don't think it's outside of the box, you will fall short. And so we will be innovative in that way.
And secondly, Coach, I've been around Tank Lawrence, Michael Parsons, Diggs. These are some talkative guys. When you're going to see these guys twice a season, talking about the Dallas Cowboys, what do you anticipate that matchup being, facing off against a team you just spent the past 3 years with?
Man, I have so much respect for the men that in those locker rooms that we just left. They're really good. And I hate that we didn't finish that journey the way that we should have, especially the way that we lost to Green Bay. That was an embarrassing loss for all of us. But I mean, football's football. You run against, like, when the year we won the Super Bowl when I was in Green Bay, my best friend Ryan Clark, he was on that other side of that ball. William Gay, who I coached, was on the other side of that ball. James Daniels was coaching there, my dad's best friend. So you always going to go against people that you have really close ties to, but that's the business that we're in. So to me, it's going to be another game, because it's just another game for real. I don't get caught up in all that.
Hey, Joe, I'm Alex Flum with DC News Now. Welcome to the DMV. You were talking about how great of a person Coach Quinn is. How much does it mean to you that, you were there with him in Atlanta, there with him in Dallas, and now he's bringing you with him here, to this high opportunity that you have now?
It means a lot. I mean, he's given me the opportunity that I've been waiting for years, and so I've been very close. I've interviewed for a few of them. It's just I owe a lot to them, and the thing and we owe a lot to this city and this fan base to make sure that we put a product on the field that they can be proud of. But most importantly, we're here for one thing, and that's to win. Okay, we're here to win, and we're here to play a style of football that when you see us play, you understand that we're trying to, let the other team know that they shouldn't be on the field with us.
And I know earlier in your career you worked closely with Charles Woodson when he
Yeah.
had a really good season recently, like Trayvon Diggs, Deron Bland in Dallas. When you look at the secondary here, I know Emmanuel Forbes, when he was in college, was a ball hawker, didn't quite have that exact success last year. What do you see about Forbes, maybe what you've seen so far and maybe the potential he has, what he can do?
I really like Forbes when he came out, and not only Forbes, I like Quan, and they have a number of guys on that back end that really, really are intriguing. And the thing that we have to do, that's why we brought Jason Simmons in and Tommy Donatel to get those guys in and to believe in the techniques that we're going to teach them and the scheme that we're going to put them in. But we have quality young players here. We just ready to get to work with them. Yeah.
Coach Chad Riccotto with Fox 5. Obviously, we can feel your passion. We can feel your energy as well. I wonder what process you go about in terms of taking your way of being and getting that over to the leaders on your defense.
Consistency. That's what it is.
Yep.
They're going to see the same person every day. You can't pick and choose when you want to demand or get things from guys. Every time I walk into that building, they're going to see the same thing. They're going to get the same effort. I tell you one thing, and this is a little bit trying to answer your question. As coaches, when you start to lose, sometimes coaches start to stay later, and my thought process is, because I don't care if we won, I've been on 20 wins in a row and I've lost 6 in a row. Okay. I go home the same time because I'm giving you everything I have every time. So when coaches started to stay later after we've lost 2 or 3 games, man, you were cheating us, because if you thought that was going to give us a better chance of winning, you would have done it before we lost. So to answer your question is, I'm going to give everything I have to those guys every time they see me. All right. And then I can sleep well at night after that.
You spoke about the 18 years that you put into coaching and that it should not be questioned that you deserve this position here. I wonder, though, what it means to you to have this position, not just as a DC, but here in the nation's capital.
Well, first off, we were just talking about that today, me and Jason Simmons. It's an honor to be in the NFL. Okay. All right. There's only 32 of these opportunities. And then to be here with the Commanders, a team that has just rich history, a team that one of my best friends, Marcus Washington, played for. Ryan Clark has already said. Sean Taylor is my favorite player. All right. So it means a lot to be able to be a part of what we're about to do and bring a high level brand of defense. I mean, it's to my core. When I got the job, Marcus called me and said, I know you're going to have those guys running and hitting like we were. And that's what we're going to aim to do.
Okay.
Coach Whitt, how are you? Candy Waller, Bowie Television. Welcome to the area. How important is it to build that depth on your defense? I know a lot of focus is always on the starters, but how important is it to build that depth?
And when we were fortunate enough in Green Bay to win the Super Bowl, we had 16, I believe it was 16 to 18 guys going injured reserve, and the bottom of the roster became the top of the roster really quickly. And so I really believe that you have to build the whole roster. You have to coach everybody in the room. And so we'll have a group of coaches, the QCs or the quality control coaches. They will have a focus on some of the younger players, and they will get time where they can ask questions because sometimes young players, they get nervous of asking questions in front of the vets. They might not want to do that. So we're going to give them the space away from the vets and with the vets to make sure that we can grow the whole room, not just the stars.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thank you. All right. Y'all have a good one.
I like this, man. I like that pressure from him. Joe Whitt Jr. is a really intelligent guy. I like what he brings to the table. That was a heck of a presser. I do appreciate him being so openly honest, but also kind of keeping it vague. We got 2 good we got 2 good coordinators here in Washington, I believe. This team's going to turn around very quickly. I like what this team is doing. I like the position coaches as well. There's 2 really good pressers.
I like how he said he liked Forbes and Quan. I think those two would be very, very, very beneficial. They're gonna benefit a ton from Joe Whitt Jr.'s hire. Those are the two most impactful upgrades when it comes to player development from this hire of Joe Whitt Jr. as a defensive coordinator. So, what are your thoughts on Joe Whitt Jr.? Do you like him? And what's some things that you think he can work on? And what players benefit the most from Joe Whitt Jr.? I'll talk about that in a much more in-depth video very, very soon. But that's going to do it for today's live stream. I'll be back on about 5 minutes with Josh Taylor. And hopefully tomorrow I'll be on with Rio talking about some more mock drafts. So come catch us in 5 minutes. Should be a fun one. Like, comment, subscribe. And we will catch you. I'll catch you in about 5 minutes. Peace.